The Champions League semi-finals are upon us, so it's only right that I give you my predictions for these set of games. And we got some exciting clashes coming up too, with Barcelona's firing offense taking on Inter's strong defense, while Arsenal will take on the hottest team in Europe right now in PSG, with both clubs desperate to win their first ever Champions League trophy. So what's gonna happen in these games? Well, let's find out what I think with my predictions. And trust me, you're gonna want to stay until the end, because I might have a crazy upset in this video. Let's start off with the quarterfinal clash between FC Barcelona versus Inter Milan first, and let's quickly go over what happened in each team's quarterfinal games. Beginning with FC Barcelona versus Borussia Dortmund, I mean, it was pure domination from Barca in the first leg. Not only did they get the better chances in the first half, they would make it count thanks to a header from Kubarsi, whose goal was snatched off the line from Raphinha, who tapped the ball in to make the goal his. Nasty work from Raphinha, but you gotta do what you gotta do when you're trying to win the 2025 Ballon d'Or. But even though Barcelona had the better chances in the first half, Dortmund still had some themselves. However, Guirassy, who's an elite goal scorer, missed some really good chances to save Dortmund in this tie. And these chances would cost Dortmund as Barcelona ran up the score in the second half. First through a Lewandowski header that was put on a plate to him from Raphinha, then when Lewandowski would score one again to make it 3-0, and lamine yamal would get his own goal after an amazing display as he toe poked the ball past the goalkeeper to ensure Barcelona beat Dortmund at home in the first leg 4-0. And after this match, I think all of us knew that there was no chance that Dortmund was going to come back in the second leg. 4-0 is just too much to come back from. But actually, Borussia Dortmund played really well in the second leg and were close to completing the comeback. They were the much better team in the second leg on the stat sheet and on the pitch. Sure, Barcelona might have had more possession, but Dortmund had 18 shots with 11 on target. That's an insane stat line from a team who's had a poor overall season so far. And the game would start well for Dortmund, with BVB winning a penalty that Guirassy would calmly convert thanks to his Panenka. Then he would score a header almost identical to the one Lewandowski scored against them in the first leg, and Guirassy would complete his perfect hat-trick actually, with him slamming the ball with his weak foot into the back of the net in the 76th minute to help Dortmund bring back 3 goals. But sadly for Dortmund, Barcelona scored 4 goals in the first leg. And not only that, Benzema scored a ridiculous own goal from a Framer and Lopez cross in the 54th minute that pretty much sealed Dortmund's fate in this competition. So although BVB were the much better side, with a lot of their players doing well on the day, like Karim Adeyemi, he was blitzing past his Barcelona defense multiple times and getting good chances himself, and Guirassy, who won the Man of the Match award, Barcelona did enough to make the Champions League semifinals, winning 5-3 on aggregate. But this game did show that Barcelona aren't perfect, and with Balde going down due to injury, it seems like they're weaker in the back than before. Plus, Ronald Araujo is just not that guy, man. They should have sold him to Juventus for like 60 million euros when they had the chance. Also, lamine yamal and Raphinha aren't invincible. It seems like they can be stopped, with both players not playing that well in the second leg. But before I talk too much about Barcelona and their faults, let's talk about the other team in this tie, Inter Milan, in their quarterfinal clash against Bayern Munich. And in the first leg, even though in the big 2025, most of us can agree that Inter Milan is an overall better side, they didn't perform that well to their standards in the first leg, with Bayern actually being the overall better team. But Inter won in the most important category of them all, and that's the scoreline. Although Bayern were getting the better opportunities earlier in the match, like Harry Kane's chance to hit the post which he should have slotted into the back of the net, Inter were the ones that pounced first on the scoreline late into the first half. And it was thanks to some great play from Marcus Thuram, who tapped the ball cleverly behind him for Lautaro Martinez to finish the ball beautifully with the outside of his right foot into the top corner to put Inter up. And although the player who's leaving Bayern after 25 years, Thomas Muller, equalized in the 85th minute for Bayern Munich in the first leg, the German Giants would capitulate defensively, and Frattesi would score the winner in the first leg to ensure Inter Milan won 2-1 at the Allianz Arena, the stadium that's hosting the 2025 Champions League final. But the second leg was always going to be close, and it definitely was. And we can see that on the stat sheet. Sure, Bayern had more of the possession and the shots. That's only natural because they were playing this game down by a goal, while both teams shared the same number of shots on target, which just indicates how close this tie was. But it would be the German Giants, Bayern Munich, who would score first in this match, and it's thanks to Harry Kane, who became open on the right hand side of the goal and then slotted the ball in between DiMarco's legs to level the tie on aggregate. And Sommer, what was that positioning, bro? Give me flashbacks of Matt Turner's terrible positioning in the Nations League semifinal against Panama. Pain, man, pain. But this equalizer wouldn't last long, because in the 58th minute off a corner kick, and after a couple of lucky bounces, the captain Lautaro Martinez would score and bring Inter the advantage again in this tie. And his celebration was just too cool, man. And it would become the first Inter player to score in 5 Champions League games in a row, so shout out to him. But we're not done, because it gets even better for Inter, with Benjamin Pavard heading the ball to the back of the net in the 61st minute to put Inter ahead in the tie by 2 goals. And bro celebrated so passionately against the club he played for 4 years. He really did not care about being respectful and not celebrating, huh? I kinda respect the shit house rig though, I'm not gonna lie. But if someone did that to my club, I'd be fuming. Anyways, although Eric Dyer scored a pretty lucky header goal later in the match, which gave me flashbacks to Vertonghen's goal in the round 16 game at the 2018 World Cup against Japan that started the comeback against the Japanese. That game broke my heart for real, but the goal was nearly identical. It didn't matter, because although Bayern were throwing the kitchen sink and attacking on all fronts, they couldn't get another goal, and Inter would make the Champions League semifinals after winning 4-3 on aggregate despite drawing 2-2 at home in the second leg. The Hurricane miss in the first leg was always going to bite Bayern back in the butt. I knew it, man. I had a feeling. But now, after that quarterfinal review, who's going to win this Champions League semifinal clash between Barcelona and Inter Milan? And oh boy, this is a tricky one, because not only is this a game where Barcelona's all-star offense is taking on a brick wall defense of Inter Milan, but I would say both teams didn't have the best performances in the quarterfinals. Barcelona almost capitulated in the second leg tie against Dortmund despite being up 4-0, and they have Benz Baini to thank for that. Someone check that man's bank account for real, by the way. While Inter, who are known to having a strong defense, looked the weakest defensively against Bayern, who attacked this Inter side aggressively and made them concede 3 goals, which is a lot for Inter Milan standards. So both teams that looked invincible initially had their flaws and weaknesses revealed in the quarterfinal games, which just makes the semifinal tie even more interesting. And as a man like myself, I love trying to call an upset. You know me. But for some reason, although I really want to be hipster and just say Inter's gonna get the win, I just can't. I think Barcelona have the more X factors on the team, and the likes of lamine and raphinha on their day can win a game by themselves. And that's what I think the semifinal is gonna go down to. And also, Thuram might be injured and missing at least the first leg, so that's a big miss for Inter. So although I think this tie is still gonna be very close, my brain is telling me I gotta go for Barcelona, and I think they'll be the ones who are gonna make the Champions League final in 2025. But best believe this tie I'm gonna keep an extra eye out on, because oh baby, this one is juicy. But now let's go on over to the other Champions League semifinal tie, where we've got the Gunners, Arsenal taking on debatably the best team in the world right now in Paris Saint-Germain. But before we talk about my prediction for this game, please remember to subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it and it means a lot, so thank you. And also, if you guys can, follow my Twitter and my Instagram, both at Nabhuto, if you just want to hear my thoughts on football games, transfers, and overall just to get to know me more. And also, make sure to join the Discord server, link in the description, and also follow me on Twitch. Live streams may be coming soon, so if you want to, feel free to hit me up with that follow. Thank you. Anyways, back to the Arsenal versus PSG semifinal. Let's review the quarterfinal games, and let's start by reviewing Arsenal first. So in the quarterfinals, Arsenal has a seemingly difficult task of playing the 15-time Champions League winners and the club who won it last year, Real Madrid, in the quarters, after those guys controversially went past Atletico Madrid in the round 16 due to a very interesting double-touch penalty decision from Julian Alvarez. And even though I am the prediction king, as we all know by now, sometimes even a man as seemingly perfect as me can get stuff wrong. Very rarely, but it can happen. And this is one of those ties that I misread completely, because I confidently picked Real Madrid to win this one, and it didn't end up so well for me. I ended up looking like an absolute buffoon, and I don't mean buffon, I meant like a clown. You see in the first leg, Real Madrid got absolutely dog walked by Arsenal. And yes, sure, Madrid had some chances that could have changed the game if the ball went to the back of the net, but they didn't, and Arsenal made Real Madrid pay for that. Plus, Arsenal were like the way better team on the day, so they definitely deserved the win. First, in the 58th minute, Declan Rice noticed that Madrid's wall wasn't set up as good as it should have, and he decided to curl the ball into the back of the net like Beckham and put the Gunners up 1-0. Then later on, Arsenal will win another free kick, and this time Declan Rice was slaying the ball accurately into the top right hand corner. Like literally, it was a perfect free kick. Declan Rice might never hit a free kick as good as that ever again. Put the Gunners up 2-0, and Mikel Merino will make it 3 later to ensure Arsenal won the first leg rather surprisingly 3-0. Initially, it would feel like this tie was dead in the water, but you see, Real Madrid were making a ton of noise that they're ready to make a comeback, and the reasons for that were kind of legitimate. I mean, they'd done it before, like against Man City when they only had a 1% chance of coming back late into the match, and plus they're the 15-time champions. They've been here before. First there was Bellingham, who mentioned that the entire team was talking about a remontada and making a comeback. Then Vinicius coming out and saying to be ready at Thursday 9 PM, and then there's Rodrigo praying and saying see you tomorrow. Real Madrid TV was also talking about 90 minutes of the Bernabeu was a very long time, and a whole lot of other shit coming out of Real Madrid talking about making a comeback. And I'm not gonna lie, I even started believing this too. The propaganda was working on me for real. But even though Real Madrid had the more possession the second leg at home with 67% and had the more shots with 18, they were still not clinical enough, with them having only 3 shots on target, 0 in the first half by the way, which is insane, while Arsenal had a total of 6. And Arsenal would end up benefiting from Real Madrid's terrible attack in the second leg. First though, Arsenal had a chance from the penalty spot thanks to Asensio fouling Mikel Merino from a corner kick, dragging him into the ground. I don't like to see those being given, but I can see why it was. But bukayo Saka tried to Panenka at the goalkeeper, but Courtois saved it as Saka's shot went left instead of straight down the middle. And I thought maybe this would inspire Madrid to make a comeback. And it seemed like it initially, with Declan Rice apparently dragging down Mbappe in the box to give Real Madrid a penalty. But after a 5-minute VAR check, bro, why does it take so long for real? The referee decided to rule against it and Madrid got no penalty. Florentino Perez's card must have declined, bro. The referee must have not seen the money sent to his bank account or something, because Madrid is supposed to be favored by the referees. This was not in the script. Then in the second half, bukayo Saka would get his chip right in the 65th minute as he chipped Courtois after running in behind to give Arsenal a 1-0 lead away from home. And he would celebrate like Titi did when he dunked on Madrid all the way back in 2006. But 2 minutes later, Saliba would make a mistake in the bag and Vidi would pounce on it to score and bring a goal back from Madrid. And while his bro celebrating like Madrid were still gonna come back, be for real bro, the hope was was already gone, and it would 100% be gone in the 90+ third minute, as Real Madrid allowed Martinelli to run in behind their defense and dunk on them for Arsenal to win away from home at the Santiago Bernabeu in the second leg 2-1. Nah man, allowing a team nicknamed the Gooners to dunk on you in your own backyard after all this remontada talk is nasty work, and letting Martinelli score on you too is even worse. This Real Madrid side is just not that good. I don't care if they're the kings of the Champions League. I should have never believed in these guys. Y'all are not Liverpool, bruh. These 3-goal comebacks aren't for everybody. Trust me. And oh, speaking about Liverpool, Trent, I hope you were watching that game, bruh. Because why on earth would you leave your boyhood club, the team you're one of the faces of, the team who's about to win the Premier League, for this shit, bruh? It makes no sense. Come on, Trent. You have to stay. Surely, right? But anyways, fuck you, Madrid. Because of Arsenal winning, I had to give away a $25 gift card to my Discord server. And here are the receipts. I'm not a liar. I actually gave one away. And if you guys want to win any future ones, make sure to join the Discord community. The link is in the YouTube description. But anyways, before talking about my prediction for this Arsenal versus PSG tie, we gotta talk about the club from Paris first. So let's review PSG's game against Aston Villa in the quarterfinals. And the first leg went almost flawlessly for PSG at home. These guys were just too good. They dominated Aston Villa on the day. And sure, they conceded the first goal from a Villa counterattack that Morgan Rogers ended up putting the ball into the back of the net. But PSG being down in Villa didn't last that long, with Desiree Doué, the Neymar regen, scoring a wonderful long shot golazo to level up the tie 4 minutes later. And then in the second half, it was all PSG. First, kvaratskhelia absolutely mixed the hell out of the Sassi and ended up finishing the ball superbly into the back of the net to bring PSG a 2-1 lead in the game. And right before the full-time whistle blew, Nuno Mendes, the left back, would juke the hell out of Conte and Martinez and would score to give PSG a hefty 2-goal advantage as they head to Birmingham winning 3-1 in the first leg. But then the second leg was anything but comfortable for PSG, as it should have been, because just looking at the stat sheet, Aston Villa won the most important stats, like the shots with them having 17 and the more shots on target with 9, even though PSG did have more possession with 66%. But these stats are kind of misleading if you want to paint the whole picture of the match, because PSG were all over Villa in the first half. First, in the 11th minute, Achraf Hakimi would get on the rebound of an amazing PSG counterattack after already being up in the pitch due to receiving a heavy challenge on the head, and he would score to put PSG ahead away from home 1-0. And Martinez, what are you doing, bruh? You should just left the ball for Pau Torres to clear. That's a sell on his part, but it gets even worse for Villa, because all of a sudden in the 27th minute, PSG are on another counterattack, and Nuno Mendes' time was up the pitch, and this guy placed his shot brilliantly to the left and scored off the post to bring PSG a 2-0 lead away from home and a 5-1 advantage over the two legs. Nuno Mendes, by the way, has been having a world-class Champions League campaign this season. From pocketing my Egyptian King Salah to scoring twice against Villa is phenomenal stuff. Anyways though, PSG were in dreamland, and it seemed like nothing could go wrong for them, until it did, because in the 34th minute, Aston Villa's attacks all game would finally pay off with Tielemans getting an open shot and scoring thanks to a very heavy deflection off Pacho's chest. And this goal ensured Villa would at least spark the hope of a potential comeback. But heading into halftime with Villa being down 5-2, it seemed very unlikely that Villa could spark any sort of comeback in the second half. But I was wrong, because right from the jump in the second half, Villa were creating all sorts of opportunities. There was Rashford having a great chance but Donnarumma getting a good hand to his shot. Then there was a Tielemans header that Donnarumma's tall ass stretched for and got to it. And even at the end of the game, Monson was so close to scoring but Pacho hit the ball off the line. Villa were creating opportunities and even made some of them count. First in the 55th minute, with John McGinn running all the way from his own half to near PSG's box and slammed the ball into the back of the net to bring another goal back for Villa. And this shot took another deflection from Pacho. Poor Pacho, man, he was extremely unlucky in this game. But then 2 minutes later, Marcus Rashford would have a moment of magic, something I haven't seen in a while since his United days, where he would skill his way past one PSG player and then would get by another before passing the ball straight to Konza, who would nicely tuck the ball in to bring the game within one. Rashford heard the Europa League intro before the game and recognized it so much that he remembered to lock in. Unai Emery was also pretty happy hearing the Europa League anthem too, since he owns that competition. But anyway, speaking of Emery, I think he made a very big mistake in this game. Instead of leaving Rashford in the game while he was on fire, he took him out for Ollie Watkins, while instead he should have just let both Rashford and Watkins play as they were chasing the game. And this I felt like cost them, because Villa might have ended beating PSG on the day 3-2, but they lost on aggregate 5-4. Really unlucky for Villa. This might have been a legendary comeback for them if they got the job done, but football sometimes isn't fair. And PSG are probably happy they didn't have another historic choke in the Champions League, because oh my word, if they choked us to Villa, I would have never forgiven them for real. But sometimes in Europe's most elite competition, you have to struggle just to know how that feels like. And it feels like for the first time since PSG got good again with this new squad, they now know that struggling feeling. And now for future games, I think they might be better prepared. But now it's time to talk about what my prediction is for this Arsenal versus PSG semi-final clash. And listen, Arsenal are looking good, there's no denying that, but I'm afraid I'm gonna have to doubt these guys yet again. And no jinx Nabhuto this time. I'm beating the allegations in this semi-final round, as I truly believe PSG, who are probably the best team in Europe right now, will make the Champions League final as they beat Arsenal over the two legs. And I think one of my biggest reasons for saying that is PSG's attack is just way too good. And with Arsenal losing Gabriel for the rest of the season and having to play Kivior as center back to go against the likes of Kvaratskhelia, Ousmane Dembele, Bradley Barcola, Villa, Desiree Doué, etc., it's going to be tough for them. And with the second leg being at the Parc des Princes in France, I think PSG will do enough to ensure they'll be victorious and make the final in Munich. But anyways, who do you guys think will win each semi-final clash? Let me know down in the comments. And if you guys are wondering about my voice, I'm currently struggling from a sore throat right now, bro. I'm dying. But I had to put on a Michael Jordan flu game performance for y'all just so I can get this video out. I do this for y'all. I put my life on the line for y'all, bro. And if you're asking what happened to my hair, let's just say I'm a little inspired by Neymar's haircut. But anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please remember to subscribe. I really appreciate it. Also, follow my Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and join the Discord community. All the links are in my YouTube description. And last but not least, if you want to learn about how the US might be doomed for the 2026 World Cup, you definitely want to check out this video right here. You won't regret it.